Hello and welcome to Femme de Chem. I'm your host, Kit Englard, with your weekly musings on life, the universe, but mostly on disability. This week, I'm going to be talking about what it's like to be a late deafened young adult. So I feel like I'm smashed between two groups of people. People who have been deaf and hard of hearing since birth or childhood, and people who lose their hearing later in life, maybe 40 plus, and are part of the HLA, or the Hearing Loss Association of America. I went to an HLA meeting one time, and I wouldn't call it a disaster, but they did ask me if I could drive, and I did have my braille display on the table, and under the table was my seeing eye dog. Yeah, it was a disaster, actually. So yeah, that was not really my crowd, unfortunately. But I'm also not quite in with the crowd that's been deaf or hard of hearing from birth. I am familiar with the concept of late in life transitions. I did become legally blind in high school, but I never had a problem fitting in with the blind from birth crowd because I was always low vision, and I did go through high school as a legally blind person. So I went to college with my first guide dog. I went through college as a legally blind person. I went through the college, just the process. So I have a lot more in common with those people. So here I am. I am 26 years old. I am fully integrated into the hearing world. I'm an Orthodox Jew. I fully participate. I speak multiple languages. My speech isn't impaired in any way. And people don't believe me when I tell them that I'm hard of hearing. They look at me and say, "Oh, you're too young to be deaf or hard of hearing." Or someone will come up to me, I don't know, I'm at a party, like a boy, for example, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, talking to you is like talking to my grandmother." Yeah, so I don't actually like to be compared to 90-year-old women. I don't know about the ladies in your life, but that's just me. So how do I deal with this being stuck in the middle? Well, first of all, I try to educate people. It is rare for somebody who is a late deafened adult to learn sign language. Most people rely heavily on things like hearing aids, cochlear implants, reading lips, and other types of hearing technology like remote microphones, like you'll hear like the Roger pen, things like that people can use at meetings that connect via Bluetooth to their hearing aids. The rule of thumb for the late deafened crowd is whatever works for you. Because we're not children, we are adults, and we do have fully structured lives, pre-existing lives, long before our hearing loss. And the older you get, the harder it is to transition, because you become more integrated. So we're talking about people who really are in various stages of their life, and ASL might not work for them. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but as somebody who is a late deafened adult, I would never go ahead and tell somebody, "Hey, you're being, you should do it differently." The only thing I'll say to people is, "Hey, you can't bury your head in the sand and pretend it's not happening, because that is unhealthy and not good for you. You really need to accept the transition, and you really do need to move on and try to incorporate it somehow and cope with it in whatever way you can." For me, this has meant really learning American Sign Language, going to deaf events, and that has really been how I have been able to deal with this. Losing my hearing, or finding out that I am slowly losing my hearing, was one of the more devastating things I've learned in my life, right next to losing my vision. Because I learned how to use my hearing to get around, and all of a sudden, it's like, nope, you can't do that for much longer. You need to find a new system. And the way I regained control over my life was American Sign Language and getting to know the deaf community. And that has been great for me. So if you know somebody who is a late deafened adult or who is losing their hearing, it is totally okay to ask them if they're interested in learning American Sign Language, and that you are absolutely willing to take a class with them. That's totally okay. But, and I'll tell this to anybody who knows somebody who's losing a sense, it's a journey, and it is a journey that you need to let the individual take the lead on, because I'm going to get very Jedi Knight here. You need to choose your own path. Nobody can tell somebody else that they need to learn Braille or that they need to learn American Sign Language. It's an individual choice, and you need to choose your own path, and that's okay, and that's important. So make sure that no one else is pushing you into doing something that you're not ready for or you're not comfortable with. That is my sagely wisdom for this Tuesday. Femme de Chem Chats are weekly musings with your host, Kit Englard, about life, the universe, but mostly about disability. So we will be posting these videos every Tuesday, except for the next 2 Tuesdays, because it is Pesach, or Passover. And the next 2 Tuesdays are Passover. So, for those of you who don't know, Passover, real quick, is 8 days long. First 2 days, last 2 days are holidays, or Chagim. And we do not use electricity or do work or other things. I will post a little link in the description so you can check on that. Anyway, so instead of being on Tuesdays, the videos will hopefully be uploaded on Wednesday, definitely next Wednesday. Wednesday after, I will try, but I will actually be on a train, a 9-hour train ride. So it will either be late Wednesday or it will be stupidly early on Wednesday at like 4 in the morning. One of those two, unless I can figure out how to post it. Anyway, not really the point. So anyone who is celebrating Chag Sameach, please do not forget to subscribe. Go check us out on Facebook at Femme de Chem. Check us out on Twitter at Femme de Chem. Check us out on our blog, femmedechem.com. Femme is F-E-M-M-E, as in the French word. Everything else is basically the way you would expect it. D-E, chem, as in chemistry. Alright, so that was Femme de Chem Chats, and I will see you next week, and Chag Sameach. Femme de Chem Chats are possible via our patreon.com/KitEnglard donations.